turn out to that breaking news here in Washington. Senator Joe Manchin dealing with what could be a fatal blow to President Biden's Build Back Better plan. The West Virginia Democrat announcing on Fox News today that he is a no. The move blindsiding the White House. So what's next for President Biden's domestic agenda? Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
Tonight, a potentially fatal blow to President Biden's Build Back Better social spending plan. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin blindsiding the White House on Fox News.
I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no.
The West Virginia senator saying he has increasing concerns about the $1.75 trillion price tag and its impact on inflation and the national debt. The White House firing back in a rare, blistering statement aimed at a member of their own party. Senator Manchin's comments this morning on Fox are at odds with his discussions this week with the president. The White House claiming Manchin gave President Biden a proposed version of the bill earlier this week that the White House believed could lead to a compromise acceptable to all, and blasting Manchin for a sudden and inexplicable reversal in his position and a breach of his commitments to the president. The House in mid-November passing a $1.75 trillion Build Back Better bill that puts significant funding toward climate action, childcare, paid family leave, education, and health care.
If he doesn't have the courage to do the right thing for the working families of West Virginia and America, let him vote no in front of the whole world.
But with the Senate split 50-50 between Democrats and Republicans, Manchin has not hesitated to flex his political power. In an interview on Comedy Central, Charlemagne the God repeatedly pressing Vice President Kamala Harris on who is really the president, Joe Biden or Joe Manchin.
So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlemagne. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm Vice President, and my name is Kamala Harris.
A very heated moment there, so let's get right to ABC's Karen Travers at the White House. Karen, Democrats were stunned by today's Manchin move, but some are still calling for this vote in the Senate anyway, even though they clearly do not have the support they need to pass this.
Cecilia, this current bill cannot pass without Joe Manchin on board. The White House says they are not giving up on Build Back Better, and they're going to find a way to move it forward next year. But Democrats now have to decide whether they're willing to scale it back to get to something that Senator Manchin can support. Cecilia?
Yeah, that's so true, Karen. And that other breaking news from Washington tonight, Senator Elizabeth Warren just moments ago announcing that she's tested positive for COVID-19.
Cecilia, Senator Warren says she is experiencing mild symptoms but is fully vaccinated and she got her booster. Senator Warren says
My friends, the American public and the American newspapers are certainly creatures of habit. This is one of the warmest evenings that I have ever felt in Washington, D.C., and yet this talk tonight will be referred to as a fireside talk.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. I must say, the mainstream media, the manufacturing consent, mass, state-sponsored mainstream media, I mean, what a moment for Joe Manchin, the real president of the United States, to display on the Fox News, on the News Corp, Murdoch, MAG, his disappointment with the the negotiations. Again, what has Joe Manchin negotiated? What is his leverage? And what is he negotiating? His leverage is that they're 50-50 in the Senate and the Congress. Is that his leverage? That he's a wishy-washy corporatist tool, that's his leverage, that he has no principles and no values. That's his leverage, guys. And this is Tommy Nation Politics. Free thinking, innovative, independent, progressive media. We're doing Tommy Nation Tuesday live stream at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Starting off, we're taking it, guys, to the House. We're taking it to all houses. The houses of the Senate, the Congress, the Chambers of Commerce, your TV, Discord, Twitch, YouTube, Tinder, Plenty of Fish. Because, guys, this is a call to action. I want to, while this is all happening, and by the way, this is Tommy Nation Politics, new independent progressive media. And we're free-thinking, innovative, open-minded progressive media that will always take your messages and your, comments on Facebook.com/Tommy Nation Politics. And we will also love it if you subscribe, share on www.TommyNationPolitics.com. Now, this is a call to action, guys, because I've learned by watching real progressives and what they say. And even Bernie Sanders said, even if he was president of the United States, he would need the power of the people. He would need the power of the people to pursue a progressive agenda. That our revolution would not stop at him being inaugurated president on January 20th, but it would just be the beginning. And guys, it is just the beginning. But guys, darkness is risen. With darkness rises, light must meet it. And so I continue the revolution. Some like-minded progressives carry the torch with me. Andy Leftist, a curator of leftist news, telling the truth about Julian Assange. We have Action for Assange, Andrew Z. Smith, talking about the truth, talking about real journalism, talking about our principles and values, the ones that America really stands for. We also have libertarians like Real Talk, who we might disagree in ideology, but to the core, guys, to the core of our beings, we all agree in the common bonds that bring us together as countrymen of life, of liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We all take stock and reflection in our inalienable rights and the history and the heritage which got us to where we are today. And by doing that, no matter what ideology that we might espouse, we work together for the common good. And that is the goal. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. Now, what I've learned from history, guys, is that we are born on rebellion, on independence, on no taxation without representation. In this country, in this day, in this age, in this era, we have no representation. We have two parties representing the 1% that own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. And they are picking the spokesperson or the spokesmodel to let us in on what all they've planned. Their little smoke room meetings. This is and has gone on too long. My eyes are open. And my only wish now is to Trump tore the veil off of this decorum of democracy. But I wish to bring it to its knees. I wish to bring it to its knees because it only needs to be destroyed. This is not democracy. This is a mockery of democracy. This is an oligarchy. This is a plutocracy. I've got guests on my show tonight that are going to help me bring this system of absolute mockery of our values to its knees. I've got Dylan from Irida TV. That's irida.tv. He does a lot of conversations about politics, about media, cryptocurrency. He's very smart, very mathematical. We're going to have a very interesting discussion because we're going on earlier about how he might think some of Biden's agenda might have been progressive, would be progressive. I had to say, full stop, there is nothing that this man, Joseph Elizabeth Biden, does that it could have started out progressive. It will never end up progressive. It will end up corporatist as fuck because that's the man Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is the bad boy of the credit card companies. He is the prison industrial complex little leash dog. He is the king puppet of the rich. And there's not one piece of legislation that will go through that president that is not going to be corporate. That is not going to be a hand owners, his real owners. The owners of the big club, guys. My job here is to bring that club to its knees, because there's only one club in this hemisphere, in this new world. That is the club of E Pluribus Unum. We were here, and we will have representation, guys. Now, I want to give you a distinct differences on how we handled problems before we let the unscrupulous and dementia-riddled old men usurp the reins of power from the American people and carve for themselves from the very engines that brought them to unjust dominion their legislation, their policies. How we used to handle Joe Manchin was primaries. There used to be consequences for turning your backs on your policies. If you profess to be a Democrat, the Democrats have a platform. Now, the cat's out of the bag that the Democrats actually believe in, wish to support, or even in one iota deign to fight for. This Joe Manchin thing has only revealed one thing for me. I know it's revealed to you that if only he would have voted with, we could have had a living wage, a Green New Deal, decriminalized marijuana, all these things. It doesn't. This is a logical fallacy, which we will be carefully going through and pointing out to you your illogical activities, which only lets you cope with the reality that your party's shit. These logical fallacies, guys, if only Joe Manchin, the only thing it does is it leaves you to not have to cope with the fact your party is shit. That's all it does. Does it change reality? Does it make a better world? Does it make a living wage? Does it take people out of prisons? Does it stop torture? Does it stop drone strikes? No. The only use for propaganda is to make the masses feel inoculated. Let the dopamine levels rise while this dystopian future rises with it. And I'm not letting that happen, guys. But I'm all kinds of fired up, guys, today. And I'm gonna let myself go at 8 p.m. But I just want to give you this small stark difference, guys. So this was Secretary Jen Psaki's press statement after he said, "I'm sorry, I've tried everything to negotiate. I didn't really say I would drop anything. I didn't do any sticks or carrots. I just said, you know what? I'm tired of Pramila Jayapal looking at me like you're going to vote for her, right? You promised." No, I'm not. I'm an unscrupulous guy. I don't keep my words. I don't give a shit about my constituency. I only give a shit about my real constituency, oil and gas. So he said no. He said no on the Murdoch News. So then the president of the United States, who's supposed to be the Democratic Party leader, he's supposed to give consequences to people who go against his own agenda, right? So think about this, guys, in two waves. First of all, this is not Biden's agenda. He doesn't ever want it to be accomplished. He doesn't give a shit about it. Otherwise, he'd have been fighting for it. Do you call this fighting for it? Ms. Psaki's statement. Senator Manchin's comments this morning on Fox News are at odds with this discussion this week with the president, with the White House staff, and his own public utterances. Weeks ago, Senator Manchin committed the president in Wilmington, in his own home, to support a Build Back Better framework. And the president then subsequently announced that Senator Manchin pledged repeatedly to negotiate on finalizing the framework in good faith. So what are the consequences, President Biden? Your peon Democrat isn't falling in line with your agenda. There's no consequences, guys. They're giving him a stern statement from the press. And literally, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got worse treatment just thinking about not voting for Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker than Joe Manchin is getting from Joe Biden in destroying his Build Back Better, his entire slogan framework. He's getting no consequences. None. Do you see any consequences in this statement, guys? I'll read the whole thing to you later on at the Fireside chat. But let me just tell you guys how it used to be. It used to be, guys, that we had a real president, a real leader. And when he didn't like his fellow Democrats undermining him, he spoke out about it. And he galvanized the people. And the groups that would help, he would help in the policies to organize and to defeat it through the primaries, Joe Manchin. Is Joe Biden asking for a galvanization? Is Joe Biden saying, oh, this Build Back Better Act would help women, it would help blacks, it would help workers, it would help the labor force. So therefore, you should all galvanize around my Build Back Better agenda because this man is your enemy. He's standing in the way of progress. Is Joe Biden talking in those terms? Is he speaking rhetoric like that? Or is he giving Joe Manchin stern warnings from a press briefing? This is how a real president used to act.
My friends, the American public and the American newspapers are certainly creatures of habit. This is one of the warmest evenings that I have ever felt in Washington, D.C., and yet this talk tonight will be referred to as a fireside talk. Our government, happily, is a democracy. As part of the democratic process, your president is again taking an opportunity to report on the progress of national affairs, to report to the real rulers of this country, the voting public. The 75th Congress, elected in November 1936 on a platform uncompromisingly liberal, has adjourned. Barring unforeseen events, there will be no session until the new Congress, to be elected in November, assembles next January. On the one hand, the 75th Congress has left many things undone. For example, it refused to provide more business-like machinery for running the executive branch of the government. The Congress also failed to meet my suggestion that it take the far-reaching steps necessary to put the railroads of the country back on their feet. But on the other hand, the Congress, striving to carry out the platform on which most of them were elected, achieved more for the future good of the country than any Congress did between the end of the World War and the spring of 1933. I mention tonight only the more important of these achievements. The Congress improved still further our agricultural laws to give the farmer a fairer share of the national income, to preserve our soil, to provide an all-weather granary, to help the farm tenant towards independence, to find new uses for farm products, and to begin crop insurance. After many requests on my part, the Congress passed a Fair Labor Standards Act, what we call the Wages and Hours Bill. That act, applying to products in interstate commerce, ends child labor, sets a floor below wages, and a ceiling over the hours of labor. Except perhaps for the Social Security Act, it is the most far-reaching program, the most far-sighted program for the benefit of workers that has ever been adopted here or in any other country. Without question, it starts us towards a better standard of living and increases purchasing power to buy the products of farm and of factory. Do not let any calamity-howling executive with an income of $1,000 a day, who has been turning his employees over to the government relief rolls in order to preserve his company's undistributed reserves, tell you, using his stockholders' money to pay the postage for his personal opinions, tell you that a wage of $11 a week is going to have a disastrous effect on all American industry. Fortunately for business as a whole, and therefore fortunately for the nation, that type of executive is a rarity with whom most business executives most heartily disagree. The Congress has provided a My friends,
this is war. It's been war. But I'm just expressing, guys, that this is war, more to the motherfucking war. Do you know what? In his first term in office, Franklin Delano Roosevelt helped pull the nation out of the Great Depression with his landmark programs. In 1936 November, every Maine and Vermont voted enthusiastically for his reelection. But then the political winds shifted. Not only did the Supreme Court block some of his transformational experiments, guys, but he had serious opposition with his own party. Conservative Democrats like Walter George of Georgia, Millard Tydings of Maryland, they allied themselves with Republicans. So I guess we can't have a new deal. These racist fucking Democrats joining with the Republicans for fears of racial equality. I guess we're just gonna have to stop, Mr. Roosevelt. Oh no? Oh no? Mr. Roosevelt, what do you intend to do? Will there be consequences for your mansion-like behavior, Mr. Roosevelt? Well, let me tell you guys, there's a dramatic story of FDR taking battle out on his own fucking party, guys. Intervening in the Democratic primaries, backing liberal challengers to conservative incumbents. He spent the summer months of 1938 campaigning across the country, defending progressive policies, lashing out at conservatives. The man was elected 4 fucking terms. The people loved him so much. He stopped child labor. He helped diggers that were being exploited by the industrial revolution. And when he asked the American galvanized behind him for his cause, drove his ass fucking terms. You just think about that, guys. When you got motherfucking Joe Manchin problems. There were racist Dixiecrats, guys, that joined with the Republicans in the 1940s. You thought that was a problem? In his third time winning the presidency, the establishment racist Dixiecrats tried to get rid of FDR. They tried to freaking do a coup at the convention. He said, I welcome your hatred. I roll up my sleeves with the American people. Do you see Joe Biden doing that? Actions speak louder than words, guys. And we're going to go all down the list of all the actions that could be happening, that the mainstream media isn't talking about, that could be happening, that they're ignoring, like they ignore history. It goes both ways, guys. Both sides want to ignore history because they want to repeat it. They want to repeat it, guys. We're not going back to feudalism. We ain't going back to tyranny. We ain't going to monarchy. We independent, nigga. And this is Tommy Nation Politics telling you, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. The call to action.